Max Crosby going to get that ultimate effort. He's going to be one of the best players in the league.
You have to know what you have out of your draft class before you go into the offseason. Before you go out there and shop the market, you got to know what you have in the cupboard.
His sure hands and receiver speed not only put him at the forefront of a new breed of tight end, but should also make him a quarterback's best friend.
It's week 15 of Raiders Roundtable, presented by America First Credit Union. I'm JT. That's the Hall of Famer Eric Allen, and EA. That was a tough one to watch as the Raiders were completely dominated by the world champs on the road in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we were talking, and that's one of those moments when you're a young player and you talk about where's your welcome to the NFL moment. It's going back to Philadelphia. It's snowing, it's cold, the wind is blowing. You're facing the Super Bowl champs from last year, and you know they needed to do some things to get on pace, and they ran the ball. They're a complete football team. And you want to see yourself in that position. And so it's really good for a young guy to go back there and kind of find out what it's like playing a organization, a football team that has been really successful. So hopefully you can kind of mirror some things from that, and hopefully in the next couple of years you can be that sort of football team.
75 total yards on offense, which is absolutely unacceptable on every level. I'm disappointed for Kenny Pickett because I think Kenny went into the game really wanting to make a statement and wanted to keep the job, right, if he had a good game on the road. And I was expecting him to play better, but for most of the game he didn't have much of a chance and he couldn't make a lot happen outside the pocket.
Yeah, you saw some of those things early on that the coaching staff was trying to do as far as getting Kenny outside the pocket, having some rolling pockets, different launch angles and things like that. But defensively, the Eagles were just doing their job, basically, keeping the edges, making sure they were really secure on the backside. So it made it very difficult for Kenny to really extend plays and make any momentum plays through play action or anything like that. So you have to really give credit to that Eagles defense. I understand what they're trying to do as far as the Raiders are concerned, trying to get a quarterback who's going to be able to extend plays, movement outside the pocket. But for this situation, that offensive line just really wasn't up to the task.
Let's go back to the locker room and first hear from Eric Stokes.
You get frustrated. As a competitor, as a player, as a man, you put in all this hard work. And just come out here week in and week out and the same thing just keep happening over and over again. It get frustrating, especially for anybody. Man, we just got to work as a unit, work as a thing. There's a whole bunch of little things that we just got to do, and it's just frustrating. Just frustrating to keep saying the same thing over and over again every pretty much week.
That really hits home to me because, as Coach Carroll says, they practice well, the energy's there. They go to the workouts prepared. They go to film study prepared, and it doesn't transfer to the game. Why is that?
Well, the connection between your personnel and what you're trying to accomplish defensively. Sometimes you have a zone type of defense, but your players are more man-to-man or vice versa. And I think that's kind of what we're getting into situationally now. Obviously, the young players don't have the experience to understand, route situations and combinations, and that's what they're here to learn. And we need to continue to see those young guys in that position so they learn from those mistakes. But that's what really I think it is, JT. I think it's right now, we're trying to have one type of defense, and maybe in the middle of the football field, you have linebackers who are used to playing more man-to-man, and now they're in zone concepts, and the quarterbacks are doing a great job of changing looks with their eyes. So it's just a combination of players not being experienced enough. I think playing this zone defense is not suited to maybe what the personnel we have.
We always get a chance to hear from the great Max Crosby.
3 games to go. What is the goal at this point? Keep getting better. That's it. Improve. Everyone across the board. You know what I mean? You get 17 opportunities guaranteed, and it's all you can do.
He said it all this year. There's not much more for Max to say. I think Max takes the high road there. He knows what to say and what not to say.
Right.
But you could see with those two scrums, 2 frustrated players.
He's a great player, and he's had an amazing year this year. We talk about all the stats, but you see every time he starts a game off, you look at him, big smile, just happy to be playing football at the end of the game. It's been the same issues, and I go back to we need to find a way to match up this personnel with the schemes we're trying to run. You have to have the young guys kind of catch up and be able to help a guy like Max Crosby, and we just haven't had consistent help for Max the whole year.
You're really hitting home with me on this scheme thing that we're going to dive into more with Lincoln Kennedy coming up next. Also, Paul Gutierrez joins us from Raiders.com as we look back Well, we're looking forward to the Houston Texans as we continue on Raiders Roundtable.
There's regular cold, and then there's the mountains are blue cold. Mountain cold refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel. You in?
This is not a blue moon. Now it is. Now it's not. Now it is. Now it's not. Now it is. Now it's not. Now it is. A Valencia orange makes a blue moon, and everything a little brighter.
Raiders Roundtable is brought to you by America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders. Coors Light, choose chill, an official beer of Raider Nation. Celebrate responsibly. 2025 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Hey, welcome back to Raiders Roundtable. I'm Paul Gutierrez here with my 3 takeaways from Sunday's shutout loss at Philadelphia. Well, number 1, it didn't matter who was playing quarterback for the Raiders. Not with the lack of protection Kenny Pickett received against the fearsome front 4 pass rush that was getting home with regularity. Kenny essentially got the Geno Smith treatment in that anytime he took a deep drop to let receiver routes develop downfield, he found a defender in his lap or on his back. Getting his first start as a Raider against the team he played for as a backup last season, Kenny was greeted with 4 sacks, 3 in the first half, a couple of tip passes, and a paltry passer rating of 47.9. All this despite Kenny being more mobile and willing to roll out to extend plays. Need more proof? Well, the Raiders, as a team, they're on pace to surrender 66 sacks this season, which would be the 3rd most in franchise history. Ouch. Number 2, Max Crosby had, quote, no words to describe what happened, and for good reason. Well, the face of the franchise was moving silently through an even more quiet Raider locker room in the wake of that second 31-0 loss of the season when I asked him if he could wrap his mind around what had just happened. Max paused, said something about having to watch the tape, and then said simply, I have no words. And really, only bad words could describe the Raiders' lot against the Eagles. Because while Coach Pete Carroll said the Raiders simply got whipped by a loaded football team, that only told part of the tale. The Raiders' saving grace was their goal line stand at their 1-yard line at the 2-minute warning at the end of the game. Hey, if you're looking for something positive and some positive words to go with it, that was it. And number 3, we are at the historically bad stats part of the season. Well, let's not bury the lead here. The Raiders' 75 yards of total offense, those are their fewest in a game since 1961, or 2 years before Al Davis joined the franchise. The 1.8 yards per play average, they were their lowest since 2006. And that occurred in a win over the Steelers, which came courtesy of 2 pick sixes, one by Chris Carr, the other by Nnamdi Asomugha. The defense, though, it didn't help much either in Philadelphia, surrendering drives of 13, 11, 10, and 17 plays, while allowing the Eagles to go 10 for 13 on third down on a blistering cold day. And for the second consecutive game, the Raiders allowed their opponent to hold on to the ball for more than 39 minutes. Also, the Eagles had 27 first downs to the Raiders' 7, and while the Raiders only had one quarterback hit, the Eagles had 9. Throw it all together, and it's no surprise the Raiders, who dropped to 2-12, are making history, but not the good kind. All right, for more on Sunday's game and how the Raiders remain in contention for the #1 draft pick for only the second time since the 1970 AFL-NFL merger, check out my column at Raiders.com.
Could you hand me a piece of tape?
Get your money working this holiday season and get a cash bonus when you open a checking account at America First Credit Union.
The power of we is all for one. It's all for you. It's always there for you. It completes your circle. It says you've got a team even when you're out there alone. And with Intermountain Health in your circle, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
Welcome back to Raiders Roundtable. The great Lincoln Kennedy always joins us. And Link, same old story, 39-plus minutes of time of possession for Philadelphia, and the Raiders only ran 42 plays. Really rough day for the offense.
Well, it really is. And look, this offense has to stay ahead of schedule. They can't afford to start off the 2nd and 12 or the 2nd down and 9 and not get any more yards because they just don't have the ability to come from behind like that or play up. So they have to stay ahead of the chains, have to stay ahead of the schedule. If you do not get good production on 1st and 2nd down, a lot of times these drives are just going to end in stalemates and the offense isn't going to go anywhere.
Link, how does the just not this game, but the 3, 4, 5 weeks of not being able to put an offense together to have time of possession or to create opportunities for the offense, how does that affect the game plan and how does it affect you as a player?
Well, there really isn't. I mean, you go into it with an idea of what you think you can do as an offense. That's what the coaches do. They break down film. And then you're trying to challenge by implementing a game plan for offense and defense. But it's so hard to get things started if they haven't been flowing naturally. And you take in consideration that you fired your offensive coordinator. Now, the terminology might very well be the same, but it's coming from a different person. So it's like playing against somebody, not necessarily knowing their strengths and the team's strengths because we haven't figured it out or haven't known it. But for the most part, look, everyone knows that you want to get the ball to Brock Bowers. Everyone knows you want to get the ball to Ashton Genty. These defenses are keying in on it. There's only one football, and this offense had a hard time getting into any type of fluidity throughout the season. It's not going to just all of a sudden come on. We watched the Raiders take on 2 teams that played in last year's Super Bowl. They got shut out by both teams. So that shows you got a long way to go. You're not there yet, not even close.
Yeah, I feel bad for Kenny Pickett because he prepped all week. He knew he was going to be the starter going into the game, and he didn't play well. He didn't have a lot of chances to play well. He didn't have a lot of possessions, but disappointing for Kenny because I think Kenny wanted, I told DA earlier, wanted this to be his game so he could keep the job, so Coach Carroll would have a tough decision. And what'd you see from Kenny Pickett in that game in Philadelphia, Link?
Just not enough plays. I mean, to be out there, it's almost like a scripted practice. If you only get 40 offensive plays, there's really something wrong with your game plan. I mean, let's just call it where it is. You don't get into a rhythm. You can't sustain drives. You can't put things together. You can't score. So you can't keep confidence or stay with confidence. But I don't give out moral victories. I believe in wins and losses, and we're in a performance type of business. These are all professionals. I expect them to go out there and put their best foot forward. I just don't think they have enough weapons as where it stands. Not on the offensive line, not on the receiving core. Ashton Genty is a good he's a good player and a good back, but you don't have enough. You need more than that to sustain in the National Football League.
Yeah, for offensive linemen, I mean, you guys have to do an amazing job, all of you guys together, to be consistent. And when you have a quarterback change and you have one guy who's a little bit more mobile than the other, how does that affect the offensive line?
In a perfect world, EA, I would say you have to just get used to the mobility of a more mobile quarterback. But because they've had so many different spots, different players, I mean, you've got Caleb Rogers starting at right guard. You got Alex Kappa, who's playing center, who hasn't played center since his rookie year. I mean, you got guys that are playing out of position, out of need. So it's hard to get into a rhythm and get any type of flow, be it run or pass. But when you talk about a new guy coming in, well, you're just hoping for the best. As an offensive lineman, you want to protect your ass off because you want to give him time to throw down the field. You don't want to have people in his face. The constant harassment and the fact that they have short drives that really, a lot of 3 and outs, really hard to get into a rhythm, any type of rhythm.
Lincoln and I talked about this on the radio post game. I've never seen an offensive line struggle this badly when it comes to stunts. Forget about man-to-man. When they drop anybody in some type of stunt or bring pressure, it's almost like they don't see it. It's not that they don't get there and block it. They don't see it, and they have their back turned to the rusher who's coming up the middle or is in the middle of a stunt and comes home. So, Link, I'll tell you, Houston's maybe the best team I've seen in years at that. That's the upcoming game. But what about the stunts and the misdirection from these defensive lines? Because they're seeing it on tape, and they're going to continue to do it.
Well, defenses are going to try to isolate their best one-on-one guys versus our offensive linemen. And we've seen so many times where I call it a double eagle defense, where you have all the offensive linemen covered up by a defender, be it a linebacker or 4 downs or some sort of combination like that. Cleveland did it, and a lot of other teams have done it because they want to isolate. More importantly, when you get them isolated and you get them on different levels, sometimes the guard and the tackle aren't on the same level. They need to shore that up. They need to be able to, the tackle needs to tell the guard, you have to drift back a little bit to get on the same level because I got a speed rusher outside, so I have to get off the line of scrimmage. Can't just maintain. But when you get on different lines, you get on that different path, if you will, and one of those guys gets picked, the other guy's coming free. It comes down to coaching. It also comes down to playing with one another very often. And how are they picking these things up? Are they gaming for them in practice? Are they training for it? Because this is one of the biggest nemesis for this offensive line.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think this is going to be a very, very difficult task this week for the offensive line. Flipping on the other side of the ball, third down defense has not been great. I mean, the conversions, I think there were 10 of 13 this week. Last week, they were, close to 70% on third down. As an offensive player, when you're consistent and confident in converting third downs, how does that put that pressure back on the defense?
Well, I mean, defenses got to get off the field. But we've already talked about how our defense sometimes struggles to get off the field at third downs. Other teams have had success converting third downs against us, whether we haven't been able to convert our fair share on the offensive side to help stabilize it. Look, every good defense is going to get worn down. And this time of the season, you'll have it notoriously to where it looks like you can't stop anybody. But the Eagles, just like every other team that we faced, has gotten first downs after first down. Seriously, just marched the ball down the field, and the Raiders had no answer for it. They could not get off the football field, and that's also something that's plaguing. Hold the time of possession almost 40 minutes for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's too much.
All right, here's the big topic. Max was livid about securing the edge and not doing that. So for you, Lincoln, I'm going to ask you on what's happening when Max is trying to get home and get to the quarterback, or Max is trying to make a tackle and he turns around and there's no one on the edge. Is that the linebackers, what's happening on the edge. This is fundamental defensive football. Secure the edge, secure the edge. The Raiders haven't been doing that.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of things that have fallen down the execution. And of course, when you have a frustrated team like the Raiders, you can imagine why that is. I mean, look, they're out there trying their best, having to travel cross country, take on the defending Super Bowl champs, and you don't get a point. I mean, this is the stuff that really breaks down locker rooms when you go forward. But the Raiders had their fair share of issues, couldn't stop the run, and they had a glorious day of running the football against the Raiders like a lot of opponents have. So it's really unfortunate. They still got 3 games left. 3 solid opponents, most notably the Houston Texans, are fighting for a playoff position. We'll see.
I'll tell you, Link, we're showing highlights here of the running backs kind of bouncing it outside every time. So you kind of get your nose in as a football player. You know, you're talking all week about you want to tackle the football, and maybe sometimes you're not doing your job. That's what it comes down to, is you have 3 weeks left. Do your job, you know, be where you're supposed to be accountable on the football field. I think those are the kind of things we're looking for. We understand, you know, the effort needs to be there. It has to be there on every play. But more importantly, we just need to see this next 3 weeks, just do your job, right?
Well, I mean, that's what being a professional is all about, EA. And it's very easier said than done, especially when you talk about the mix that you have in this locker room. Look, you've got guys that are playing for player contracts. They're looking for the future. They're probably trying to figure out if this is going to be a place for them in Las Vegas, or do they need to jump ship and go somewhere else. More importantly, you got to build. You understand now, we all understand now, this team does not have the players this needs in order to be challenging and competitive, especially in this division. So they've got to go out there and address it. They got to address the franchise quarterback. They got to address, you know, all kinds of things, especially this offensive line. Trying to hold it. Pete Carroll's going to have his work cut out for him. This staff has got to hold this team together for the remaining 3 weeks and see if they can play with pride. And that's all that Coach Pete has been about. He wants to go out, have guys go out there and compete. They're just not a very good team right now.
Before I get to Max Crosby and we wrap it up, George Atkinson built this production company, Silver and Black Production. I don't want to get emotional here, but George was unbelievable. And I look at the safeties in that game in Philadelphia. George was 180 pounds. He would have came down there and ruined these guys as they were going out of bounds just for pride. Just for pride. I looked at the safeties as these guys were trying to get out of bounds at the end of the play and holding up, and George would have came from the other sideline and would have taken them out with a guy named Jack Tatum. That's how you play football. You play with anger and aggression. I did not see that. So let's end it with Max and what he was able to do in this game. Another sack, double digits for Max. And again, he's not playing for stats. He's playing to win games. What do you think of Max in the game, Link?
Well, I've always been impressed with the Condor. And we see him get in there and get a sack. I'm happy for him. This young man has worked his butt off, continues to work his butt off and be a true inspiration. And that's when you come to times like this, EA and JT, where you have a bunch of pundits out there saying, well, we need to trade Max or get rid of Max to get more draft choices. No. We got to stop letting stars go and find a way to keep them. I'm sure Max, like any other player in that locker room, doesn't like losing, wants to try to change it around. He's doing everything he can. He's trying to lead by example.
Outstanding as always. Lincoln Kennedy on Raiders Roundtable. It's unbelievable. Thanks, Link. See you next week.
See you guys.
There he is, Lincoln Kennedy. I play that on the radio. I say, we got to hear this guy.
You got to.
It's unbelievable what he has to say. And he's emotional and he's honest about everything he sees here.
We all are.
Yeah, we all are. And Lincoln knows that. Lincoln loves the O-line. He just wants these guys to play a little bit better. We'll take a look at the schedule coming up, and it's a tough one. Some interesting games coming up as we continue.
Blue moon.
Wow, that is a delicious looking orange slice.
Thank you. That's actually my son's slice. Proud of you, son.
Thanks, Dad.
I'm sorry, this is a slice of your son?
Look, it's an honor to be chosen for a blue moon.
Well, if it's an honor.
Yeah.
No! Just kidding.
That was a really good one.
The larger one is the dad.
Nothing outshines a blue moon.
It's the year-end sales event with the Ford crew.
It's a great time to buy, great time for traditions.
It's like loading up a Ford SUV and going to Grandma's house.
Hitting the slopes in a built wild Bronco.
Or making the big delivery with Ford F-Series.
Does it come in red? Making customers happy. That's my favorite tradition.
Like my sweater.
During the Ford year-end sales event, get 0% APR for 60 months with 0 down payment and 0 payments for up to 90 days on select 2025 Ford vehicles.
The power of we is all for one. It's all for you. It's always there for you. It completes your circle. It says you've got a team even when you're out there alone. And with Intermountain Health in your circle, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
Raiders Roundtable is brought to you by America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders. Welcome back, everybody, as we continue. So I always take a look ahead here at the schedule, and the Houston Texans are probably playing as good a defense as any team in all of football, and they are playoff bound, considering what's happening there with Phillip Rivers and Indianapolis and what's going to happen. Jacksonville's playing great. Then the Giants, every Raider fan has that circled. That's the draft pick game. Whoever loses that game might get the number 1 pick. And then no Patrick Mahomes, who went down with a serious injury. Let's stop and say what a career for Mahomes, and we wish him well with that injury. That his ACL, he'll have to rehab that offseason.
10-year run,
10-year
JT,
run.
for the playoffs. Andy Reid, Mahomes, and that great group. It's going to definitely change next year. May not see all of those same players we're accustomed to seeing on that Chiefs sideline. That's going to be a very impactful game at the end of the year. But starting off with Houston, I mean, they play some great defense. They have some young players who fly around, a coach that really understands his football team and how they're built. They're defense first. They have a young quarterback who seems to be a young bright spot for that football team. But it's going to be a challenge for us to really make some positive gains in the running game or the passing game against these Texans.
Danielle Hunter's there, and he's got 12 sacks, 5th most in the NFL. They got 2 edge rushers coming up here in the game. So as we look at what he's able to do, he is just a beast off the edge. And when the Raiders go up against these guys who are elite, Myles Garrett had 3 sacks. Nick Benito had, in 2 games, 3.5 sacks. What do you see from this guy?
Well, we talk about system and style. I mean, it's right aligned with what these guys want to do. They want to pressure the quarterback with all these football players. So you're going to get 5-man pressures, 4-man pressures, some zone looks, but they are relentless. It's like 7 Max Crosby's out there with the Houston Texans. They're relentless. They do an amazing job of just pressuring the quarterback, do a great job of tackling. So we are going to have to be on our best as far as the offensive line is concerned.
Well, great job today. You talked a lot about scheme, so did Lincoln and Paul. Scheme better be good for Houston. The ball's going to have to come out quickly. They've been trying to run it. They haven't been able to. Whatever has to give, better give quick in this game, especially early in the game if the Raiders are going to make it competitive. For Eric Allen, I'm JT. Thanks for joining us, as always, on Raiders Roundtable.